Good evening, this is Yosef Lang. It's the weekly parsha of the Zera Shimshon in Beha'aloscha. It's Thursday night. It's actually the 20th day of Sivan, and it's one of my Rebbe's yahrzeit, very choshev Rebbe, of Shmuel Homener. Zecher Tzadik B'Kodesh L'Vracha was a very big, they even named the street after him in Mea Sharim. If you go there, that's how choshev he was to his people. He wrote many Sfarim, including Eved HaMelech, which is a pirush on every mitzvah in the Torah, and he wrote other Sfarim, Kitzer, Hilchos Lashon Hora. It's beautiful. Anyway, so his neshama, we should do this as an Ilui neshama, and his neshama should have an aliyah and have nachas ruach from me and all the other people learning his Sfarim. Okay, this is in Zion. It's the last kapitel. In Beha'aloscha, it says, "Vayitzak Moshe el Hashem leimor, Keil no Rafa no la." So Moshe Rabbeinu is crying out to Hashem that he should heal Miriam from the tzaras that she got from speaking Lashon Hora on Moshe Rabbeinu. Pirush Rashi, Keil no ba kasu l'nametcha derech eretz. So this comes to teach us derech eretz. Shashoyel dvar mechaverei. Somebody that requests something from his friend. It says, got to say 3 or 4 nice things about the person before he asks what he needs. What does it say Lamar for? Lamar. Okay, what do you have to say Lamar? Who's he speaking to? He's speaking to himself, right? So he says, Ashiveni im Ato marapa isa imlav. So I want God to answer, please. Is he going to heal Miriam or not? Ache Heshiva, until he replied. Ad Kanashayna, that's Rashi said. Echenu Eloshim b'Yalkut, and the Lashon Yalkut Rem is Tafshin Mem Beis Mishem HaSifri Oilam Makshim Lama Hafach HaSeder. So the question is, everybody's asking is that why did he turn around the Seder, the order? Rashi should have first explained the word lemor, and then, which is first in the pasuk, and then and then explain the words no. First of all, the beginning of the pasuk is difficult to the end of the pasuk. The pasuk, the crow, shemilas no ratzalomer miyad. So the simple meaning of the word no is me immediately. B'sha'azu, b'shana shina Moshe leimar shtei pa'amim no. But Moshe said this word twice. Why did he have to say it twice? Keil no refa no. Okay, so please. Okay, Kadesha HaKadosh Baruch Hu yaseh miyad b'kashaseh, so that God would immediately fulfill his request. Kedamina b'yalma, it says in Gemara Psachim, Shina alav akasav la'akiv. So that any repetition in the pasuk, in a pasuk or another pasuk, says the same thing. It's me'akiv. Ki'ahu the kol, it prevents it from happening. Bi'ahu the kol ha'misamitz b'tfilasa ein tfilasa chazeres reikam. Somebody who exerts himself in his prayers don't come back empty. That's a Yalkut and Shmuel. Rem is ayin ches. Therefore, he doesn't really need the word lamar. The Maya Amira Shaykh Khan, what do you have to say here? So the tefillah of Moshe was that she should be healed immediately, and he doesn't need to have any extraneous versions of him saying it. Miyad. Therefore, he's going to explain that the first Keil no is not meaning to say that God should heal her immediately. Like he did, like heal her, please. It's really, the first no is like saying please. Oh no, I'm begging you. So it's not a doubling of the words. This is coming to teach us the derech eretz shashoyel davar mechaverei tzorich leimar shleisha shnayim divrei tachanuni. So he's first got to say 2 or 3 things, praises. Well, the fisha milas lemor in machrachas pirush, since the word lemor is forced to explain it like this, mishum hachi hikdim lefarish keil no. That's why Rashi says, I'm going to explain the words keil no first. The inami, or another pshat, is yesh lemor de kasha al Moshe Maika Amar lemor. Why did Moshe have to say lemor for altogether? So please answer me, God, if you're going to heal her or not. He says derech eretz, God. Moshe is asking God, okay, you got to tell me if you're going to heal her or not. It's not such a nice thing to say. So why does it say Vayitzak Moshe? Why is he screaming out? Hari Amru Chazal, Gemara Bracha says, Kol Ameirim Koiloi B'Tfilasei Hari Zemivinivieh Sheker. Anybody who's screaming out in his prayers is false prophets. It's like a false prophet. Lefi Daitenu Kusha Mi Koralesa. But according to our explanation, this is not a question at all. The Isa B'Tur in the Hagas Shulchan Aruch, in the Orach Chaim Siman Kuf Aleph, Sif base. The mashmiya koile kadesh yilmunu mimena b'nei beisai mutter, that if he's saying the prayers out loud in order that his household should understand how to pray, that's mutter. That's not called screaming out. Ve'af kan Moshe utzrach leimar b'kol kadesh yilmudu Yisrael. So here is also Moshe is teaching the Jewish people again. He's the ultimate teacher. Haderech eretz shashoyel davar mechaverei. He's somebody who asks for something from his friend. He has to say Shnai Moshleisha Divrei Tachanunim first. Okay? So you got to say 2 or 3 nice things first. Ela de kasha lamed davke v'parmazos chashav Moshe lelamed Yisrael davar zeh. So why all of a sudden Moshe never prayed before? So all of a sudden he has to teach him this lesson. Well, lebeshar tefillah shispalo, not the other prayers. Yesh the Taras the Amina b'Yalka. The Gemara Rem Tav Shin Membe says, why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu pray at length for his own entrance to Israel? He prayed 515 prayers. Here, for his sister, it says 5 words, literally. Oh, it's his sister. That's why he's saying it so long. Okay, but other times you have to pray quietly. Like the prayers, the obligation of prayers, like it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So one time he has to pray out loud in order to teach them this derech eretz. He has to say 2 or 3 lines of praise. But maybe they would be learning from him also to pray out loud. But here he was forced to pray out loud. There's another inyan. So that people shouldn't say, oh, the reason he's davening loud and long is because of his sister. Mishum hachi chashiv lelame derech eretz olei chashosh. He's got to teach them this derech eretz, not to say 2 or 3 things before he start. Olei chashosh sheyitu Yisrael loimer shemutar lispala b'kol rama. Not to make sure that the Jewish people don't make a mistake and think he's allowed to pray with a loud voice. The shiny hacha the ika taima the chashad. So here the reason is because of the recheshid, that he might be praying long and hard or loud because of his sister. The im timer, Delma Yisrael lo yavinu tam hachashad. Maybe the Jewish people won't understand the reason he's doing this is because they're suspecting him of praying for his sister. And they'll make a mistake that they think it's permitted to pray out loud. Mishum hachi nischake Moshe v'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu hashiveni. So therefore he says, please answer me, God, if you're going to heal her or not. I know that I prayed improperly here because I prayed out loud. But I thought it's permitted because they might be suspecting me I was praying for my sister. If I made a mistake, so tell me if I made a mistake, and then tell me if you're going to heal Miriam or not. Then I'll go back and pray quietly, like I'm supposed to, like the Shulchan Aruch says. The Farish Milas Lemor Acher Kel No Rafana. And therefore, he turns around. Rashi explains first. They explained after the Farish Milas Lemor after he explains Kel No Rafana. K'moshe Kaza Rashiza Shahayar Milas Lemor Nitzoilu Yisrael Min Atos. Because in the words Lemor is saving the Jewish people from this mistake. Olamdu derech eretz, and they will teach them this derech eretz to say 2 or 3 nice things before he starts the real prayers. Okay, and this week we actually have a segula from the Zera Shimshon and Rab Nachman Seltzer's edition. Okay, so our lives revolve around our families, which is why helping our friends and neighbors with shidduchim may be the greatest chesed we could do. And my daughter just got married last week, so I know how this works. That was our 10th child to get married. Baruch Hashem, Kain Yirbo, everybody should be zeicher to such nachas. Consider the following related by Reb Yisrael Zilberberg. A man called me to inquire about the Sefer Zera Shimshon. I knew who he was, but the man did not know that I recognized his voice and had known him for many years. My name is Mendel Schwartzman, he said. Of course, that's a pseudonym. Introducing himself. I wanted to know about the Zera Shimshon. Can I ask you about the Sefer? Knowing Reb Mendel, I immediately knew why he was calling him worried, and the worry that was on his mind. He had a son in his mid-30s who was still unmarried and who had been searching for a shidduch for many years. The puzzling thing about the story was that the Bacha was actually a solid boy. Not the most serious learner in the yeshiva, but a Ben Torah and Yer Shamayim. It was a truly sad case. Father was a major Talmid Chacham, the kind of man who loved repeating Vritblach from the Svarim that he studied, and I knew that he was exactly the kind of person who would connect to the Sefer. After he asked me a couple of questions about the Sefer, I told him that since he sounded like a Talmid Chacham, I was sure that he was really going to enjoy the Sefer Zera Shimshon and connect with it. But I have no patience for segulos. Okay, he repeated over and over. I don't want segulos. I want testimonials. I want to hear about people who saw Yeshuas. He was talking to me as though it was within my power to change his life, and I needed to set him straight. Reb Mendel, I said gently, there are many people who have learned the Sefer and seen Yeshua, but I want to make something very clear right now. I guarantee nothing. I have no power to make any guarantees for you. I would never dream of doing such a thing. The Mechaber of the Sefer wrote that he wrote what he wrote, and it happens to be that many, many people have been helped. I'm just serving as his shliach and trying to help people find out about this tremendous gift. That's all. The Mechaber was a tzaddik, and you know yourself that when somebody goes out of his way to help a tzaddik, the tzaddik goes out of his way to help repay the favor. That is just the way things work. The only thing I can say with complete confidence is that if you try your best to help a tzaddik, the tzaddik will do his best to help you in return. Okay, he said, where can I get a hold of the Sefer? There weren't many copies of the Sefer available then in Eretz Yisrael, and I told him that he could pick up a copy at my brother's house. He called me a week later. Rabbi Yisrael, he began, I want to tell you something. What's that? I asked. I've decided that I want to put together a likut of Zera Shimshon's pshatim on Sefer Tehillim. What prompted this decision? I'll tell you. The same night I picked up the Sefer from your brother's house, I took it to a shul and learned from it for a couple of hours. From the Sefer's opening lines, I found myself getting excited. You should know that I love Sforim, and the Zera Shimshon is a very sharp Sefer, filled with extraordinary number of chidushim. I was enjoying it so much that I couldn't stop learning. It was very late at night, but I was still steiging away. I finally finished learning about 11:30 that night. He was quiet for a few seconds. Rabbi Yisrael, my phone rang a little bit before 12 o'clock. He paused. It was someone calling to suggest a shidduch for my son. I have to be honest with you. This was the first shidduch that had been read to him in months. I immediately understood that it wasn't enough just to learn the Sefer, but that I should also add my own twist for the Mechaber above and beyond the actual learning. This is the author's note. Rabbi Yisrael mentioned to me that it's a funny thing, but he has seen on numerous occasions that people who are meiser nefesh for the Sefer, in whichever way he feels right to them, usually merit salvation that much more quickly. I met him 1 month later. Nu, what's happening with your Sefer? I asked, really meaning, what's happening with your son? Yes, I'm working on it right now, and Baruch Hashem, my son is seriously involved in a shidduch now as well. We need to keep davening. I'm still learning the Sefer with Asmada, especially since I'm putting so much time into putting together this Likud on Tehillim. His son got engaged the following month. As for the father, whenever I see him, he sidles over to me with a beautiful smile of gratitude and says, "You were right. There's something very special about that Sefer. There's something very special about the Zera Shimshon." Have a wonderful week and a wonderful lichtige Shabbos. Kol tov. Beha'aloscha.